So we're going to talk about portals for new agents. Really, one of the first things you need to do is set up your profiles on these portals. There's really very different opinions depending on who you talk to in the real estate industry about the role of portals. I'll say a few things about that, but we'll keep it short. The main purpose of this video is just as a reminder that you should do these things. You should exist on these portals, whether you like them, whether you don't, whether you think they're good for the industry or you don't. It doesn't really matter. There's an argument in favor of you should have a presence on them, at least at the capacity that you can for free to have yourself on there, because just the reality is, at least at the time of this video, is that there are millions and millions of eyeballs on those sites by consumers who you may be working with every month. So you want to have your profile filled out on there. Before I mention some specific profiles to think about, again, this is another reminder, all of them will request your headshot, which we talked about in an earlier video. You do want to have a good headshot for these. You want to have a bio. So most of these will have a place for you to put a bio. You want to think about what you want to say about yourself. This doesn't typically need to be long. People don't, I think, want to read long bios, but they do want to know that you're a real person, that they have a way to connect with you. Are you trustworthy? In the two parts of trustworthy, are you competent and do you care about them? So I think you want to find a way to communicate that, at least those two things, your competence and your care in your bio as a way for people to connect with you is a good start. And again, you don't have to overdo it. It could be 2, 3, 4 sentences. Really, that's about all you need for any of these platforms. With that, a couple other things. So a few of the key portals that you want to be on just from a user traffic standpoint right now are Zillow. So Zillow has a place where you can register as an agent. You set up your profile. There's some other things you can explore there. Realtor.com as well. You need to set up your profile and activate that. There are some benefits to doing that. The other one, homes.com as well. Kind of fairly similar process. They don't require a lot of real specific instructions. You're just going to go on to each of these and register as a real estate professional. They use slightly different wording. They'll ask you for slightly different things, but it's more or less the same thing. You're just setting up a profile on these pages. A couple things to note. In the past, we would talk about these companies only as portals, meaning they're not actually real estate brokerages. That has changed. So Zillow has become a licensed real estate broker. So they have a real estate license in, I think, every state now. They're members of most MLSs now. And so it's just something to think about, that you're not just registering on a neutral third-party portal, you're actually registering, in some people feel like, with a company that's directly competing with you for the client's business. In some ways they're partnering with you, other ways maybe they're competing with you. You can kind of make your own determinations there. My point is not to tell you which side I think you should land on as far as that real estate discussion. I do think you want visibility as a new agent, right? You want to be able to be found. When people who already know you are looking for you, they may start on those platforms. So you want to be there so that you can be found. It's just a part of the kind of legitimization that you need to go through as a new agent, is getting onto these platforms. Homes.com at the time of this video is a relatively newer player in the portals. They've been around for a long time, but they were recently bought by a huge company, actually one larger than Zillow. So expect to see more and more push from them in the coming years. Then Realtor.com has been around for a long time as well. So these are really the top 3 you want to be on. A couple other profiles I'm going to mention in the same, breath here while we're talking about portals that aren't really a portal, but it's close enough that you should do it, is your MLS. So make sure you've got your photo, your bio, your basic contact information set up properly in your MLS. MLS, depending on which one you're a part of, some of them have a portal-like function where the public can do searches on the MLS, but at least other agents will see your profile on the MLS, and it's a good way to, as an agent, you want to know, hey, what's it going to be like to work with this person who sent me the offer? And if I'm looking at their profile and it's either not filled out or looks really unprofessional, it's a mess, it's a little bit of a way that's telling me, this transaction might be kind of difficult. You're having an impact on the other professionals you work with negatively that you just don't need to have. You just want to have a nice clean profile on the MLS, and that'll set you up a lot better. The other one besides the MLS would be RPR. So we'll talk more about that later, but while we're here setting up profiles, I would recommend that you look at this tool from NAR. So the National Association of Realtors has built this thing called RPR, which stands for Realtor Property Resource. They have details on every property in the country that you can search. There's some great stuff initially for residential properties. They, a number of years ago, have added really great data for commercial properties as well. So I encourage you to have your profile set up in there, because there's a number of client-facing reports that you can generate for free that look a lot better, a lot more professional if you have set up your profile in there initially. So that's NAR's RPR. If you search that and register as an agent, you'll be able to add your profile in there, which will help you down the road. So that's kind of it for setting up your profiles on portals and a couple other areas. You'll want to do those sooner rather than later. Again, just get through it on your kind of new agent checklist as early as possible and get it out of the way. You can always refine it later, but start with your picture, your basic info, and your bio, and you're just really copying and pasting that into the appropriate places on these different platforms. Take care of that, and then we'll move on to the next one. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you learned something or if this helped you solve a problem, follow me for more.